Hey, what's up guys? This is Snackbox. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I want to talk to you about some rare champions I've built on my account. Some of them I've used to progress from early to end game, and others I still use to this day. So I really feel like a lot of people underestimate the power of rare champions, especially nowadays where you have souls and awakening bonuses, where you can really have a rare champion be very powerful. And what a better option is there to start with than Coldheart? She's probably the best rare champion out there. If you pull her early on your account, she will carry you through dungeons. I still use her to this day in my Fire Knight Heart 10 team, and she does great work. I don't think I have to go through all of her skills, but basically her main skill is the max HP damage A3, which already has a 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit. That means you technically only need her to build with only need to build her with 70% crit rate, and that makes her so strong. She can nuke the spider, dragon, ice golem, fire knight, has a four hitter A1, so strong, really good. As you can see, I have 3 cold hearts on my account. Some might even have more, so she's such a good champion, especially for a rare. Really, really amazing. Yeah, she brings great value to every account. So if you pull this champion early, don't waste any time. She will take your account to another level. So most of these champions are pretty much old school. Some of them are newer, but I feel like 90% old rare champions, and they're still really good to this day. Now let's move on to Kael. Kael, everybody knows Kael. He's one of the starter champions, has poisons, a nice AoE. If he kills enemies, gets his turn meter filled. Really strong champion. I use him still in some Doom Tower secret rooms, and yeah, he can be pretty useful even in the late game. Then we have Berserker, same as Kael. I have him in a stun set when I use him in a Doom Tower secret room, because he has this AoE 2-hitter and has also ignore defense. And yeah, he can hit pretty hard, but mainly I use him to stun lock my targets, and he's pretty good for that. Can also get an extra turn if he kills an enemy with his A2, and he does a decent amount of damage actually. Really, really nice, and you can farm him in the campaign, so it's really not hard to book him, because you can just farm his dupes and get his skills up. Then we have Reliquary Tender. Now, Reliquary Tender was really strong when the game first came out, because she has this decreased attack on an A1, has a cleanse and a heal, continuous heal, and a revive. As a rare, this is really, really strong. There are not many rare revivers, especially not many rare cleansers, and an decreased attack on an A1 is so good. Now you could, if you get a blessing, you could use Nourish to get more heal out of the continuous heal, or you use Nature's Bounty and have a chance to place a bigger version of decreased attack, which is really strong. Then we have another Coldheart. We have Ironclad. Ironclad, also a really unique champion. He has this weird passive where when he's healed, he will attack all enemies, inflicting damage proportional to any surplus heal. And the damage inflicted is equal to 50% of any surplus heal. So that is really nice, and you can abuse this passive if you're setting your team up in the right way so that he will always damage the enemy team with the surplus heal. He just needs to be at 100% HP all the time. That is really interesting. I used him in a stun set with a 2-piece immortal set, and he would always, every time he gets a turn, he would basically heal himself and attack the enemy team and stun lock the enemy team, which is pretty interesting. He has also a cleanse, which is kind of mad because he only removes one debuff, but it's still okay. At the same time, he places an increased attack. Pretty solid champion overall. You can definitely do some interesting stuff with him. Now Elhain, everybody knows Elhain too. She's a starter. Really nice champ in a stun set. Can also be your arena nuker when you start playing Raid Shadow Legends. And yeah, she has a 2-hitter, and then she has a single hit and an AoE. So she would attack the same target twice, but every other champion just once. Really solid champion overall. If you put her in a stun set, she will do amazing work as well. That's how I use her still to this day. Same thing with Souldbond Bowyer. Now she is kind of similar to Coldheart. She just doesn't do max HP damage, but she has this 25% chance of critical hit on every skill, and her A2 hits pretty hard because she deals so much damage because she ignores 75% of the target's defense. Now, if you have Savage set on her or something like that, you can get that up to 100%. And if you, if you ignore 100% of the target's defense, that does a lot of damage. And she has an AoE on the A1, and if you build her in a stun set, really good. And she can decrease the turn meter completely with her A3, which is also really strong for Spider or Fire Knight, for example. Then we have another Void rare, which is Renegade. Now, Renegade was a long time used by me as a reset champion, as I didn't have Kaimar or Yumiko, and I would suggest anybody that pulls her to use her in the same way because she can speed up your teams very well. She has this decrease cooldown skill on her A3. She will sacrifice 30% of her max HP to decrease the cooldowns of ally skills by 2 turns, which is really nice. Also, she has a decreased speed on her A2 that this skill attacks at random 3 times. This can be also pretty helpful for Fire Knight, and she has that heal reduction on the A1, which also helps with Fire Knight. Basically, you can use her in any dungeon to clear waves with Seer, for example. Now, if you would change her blessing to Nourish, you have a chance of placing a big decrease accuracy and a big decrease speed, which would make her just better. Now, the next champion, Avir, the Elk Mage, I used him for one of the Doom Tower secret rooms as well. He has poisons on his A1, but this skill is probably the one that is really good. Also places a decreased attack and decreased speed if the targets are under poison, and he has a turn meter fill and a heal on the A3, which is also pretty solid. Nice champion, has 2 debuffs, 3 debuffs, turn meter boost and heal. What more can you ask for? Really solid as a rare champion. Now, Frozen Banshee been in my clan boss team for a really long time. When I was working on my 1-key Ultra Nightmare, I was using this team with Skullcrusher, Frozen Banshee, and Resin. Pretty much a free to play version of a counterattack team, and it worked pretty well, especially with counterattack. she would place so many poisons and do so much damage. It's really amazing how effective she is in the clan boss. Now the only problem with her is that she needs to place this poison sensitivity, or there needs to be a poison sensitivity on the target to apply poisons. That's why counterattack was so strong in her case. Really solid champion for clan boss, especially when you're using counterattack. Now the next champion is probably one of the MVPs, Apothecary. Amazing everywhere. People use him in clan boss. He can solo things. He can, he can just keep your team alive and speed your team up by a fair amount. He has this triple hit on his A1, pretty solid for Fire Knight as well, and just a nice support champion overall. Nothing too crazy. He can crit on his heal, which is interesting. So if you build him with crit rate, you can actually throw out some big heals that can be really clutch sometimes. Now, Spirithost, also a champion you can farm in the campaign, and this is also a really overlooked champion. This is the skill that is really unique for a rare champion. She can cleanse and put a block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn. I use her in Cursed City now. I also used her in some of the Doom Tower waves, and I used her really early on in Clan Boss, as she would, cleanse the stun of my team. She has a big increase attack on all allies. I also used her actually in Arena for quite a long time because of her increased attack. And yeah, she's just a solid champ overall, really unique for a rare. She has a speed aura in all battles, easy to get. She's out there in the campaign, easy to book. You just need basically you don't need to book the A1, but it helps of course. But you just need 2 books to get her really viable. Now Bulwark is a champ that's been kind of power crept, I guess, but I used him in the beginning for my clan boss team because of his passive, and that was a really unique passive back then. Today we have quite a few champs that can extend the duration of debuffs, but this passive was a unique one back then, and especially for a rare, it was really huge. Also, he has a HP burn on his A2 and a little, small weaken on his A1. Now, if you have him, he can really help you to deal more damage in clan boss, as he would place an HP burn, have a weaken. Not many champions have weaken, and he would extend debuffs on the clan boss. Now, the next champion, everybody knows, Painkeeper, probably also one of the few champions that can decrease cooldowns. He was part, or is still part of my unkillable man-eater clan boss team. I've built this team, I think, in 2020, and I still use it to this day. Nothing much to say. Basically, it's all about the decrease of the cooldowns, why Painkeeper is so good. Then we have Bellower. Now Bellower with the blessings is actually really, really, really strong. Now he has an AoE hitter on his A1, an AoE hitter on his A2, and an AoE hitter on his A3. And if you give him Nature's Bounty, he does so many debuffs. He does the small decrease speed, small decrease attack, small decrease defense, and blocked active skills. Now with Nature's Bounty, if you get him to 6-star, he has a 60% chance of placing a greater version of that debuff, which means he will be even stronger. Now I still use him in Faction Wars, I think, in my stun set, and he does quite some work. He also carried me really early on through dungeons, as he would plays so many debuffs and, you know, would always hit an AoE, and that's really strong, especially early on. Then we have Sentinel. Sentinel is also part of one of my secret room teams in Doom Tower. Yeah, nothing much to say here. He's not really that great, honestly. He's just one of the few options you have. Now, he has a A1 provoke, which can help you in, for example, the Magma Dragon. Decrease attack on his AoE. A2, also not bad, but not one of, like, he's an alright champ, but nothing really crazy. He has this passive, which kind of gives him a little bit sustainability, but other than that, I don't think he's really stunning. Then we have Bloodmask. Bloodmask, if you look at his kit, looks really like a boring champion because he has no AoE debuffs, no AoE attacks, but, you know, this stun on his A3 has a 100% chance, and this can really help you surviving a wave, or, you know, he can pretty much lock down one enemy, and that's, for a rare, it's not bad. I only have him built for the same secret room that I use Sentinel in, so I wouldn't suggest to build him early on, just later for some secret rooms. But he performed really better than I thought he would, just by looking at his kit. Yeah, so next champion is also one of the campaign champions that you can get there. It's Warmaiden, and Warmaiden is also a really unique champion because she's a rare champion and that has a 100% chance of placing a big decreased defense. And this is really, really big on a 3-turn cooldown, really strong. Not many champions can do that. Not many champions, even epics, some epics don't have that on a 3-turn cooldown. And this is really, really strong. Also, she has an increased attack that she places on herself, and an extra hit if she crits. That's also really, really strong. So if you build her in crit rate and some accuracy, she can fairly hit. Like, she hits quite good. She does a decent amount of damage, and she also has a chance of a small poison debuff on her A1. So really there's nothing to complain about as a rare champion, especially that the fact that you can get her in the campaign is absolutely amazing. Now, Grappler was also one of my champions in my early clan boss team because he would put 4 poisons. I mean, a 75% chance on a 2-hitter on each hit to place 2 small poisons. It's pretty solid. And then he has the shield buff with reflex damage and a small version of weaken on his A1. It's, I mean, nothing too crazy, but if you're looking for some extra damage early on, he can really bring that in, and he's worth, you know, to invest early on. Especially I use him in one of the Cursed City stages. I don't remember which one it was, but he came in quite clutch because I really needed another champion in there, and luckily I had him already built. So next one, the Gnarhlhorn, also a skinwalker. Gnarhlhorn is still used in one of the hardest Cursed City stages because of his AoE provoke and his A3, which places an unkillable buff on him. This comes in really clutch and can save your whole team. His A1 is not really, not really crazy, but the AoE provoke is what makes him so good. There are not many, I don't think, if any, other champs that can place an AoE provoke. A really, really decent champion, especially if you need a a tank for dungeons. He can provoke the enemy wave and places unkillable and pretty much tank the whole enemy wave without a problem. The next one is Fleshmonger. Now Fleshmonger I've also built just for an secret room in Doom Tower, but he's also really decent, not as good as Warmaiden, for example, because he just has a 75% chance of placing a decreased defense on his A3. If it was 100%, he would be so amazing, but it's just 75%. Now, the nice thing about his kit is that he places an increased attack and increased crit rate, so you can on himself and gets an extra turn. So basically, you can build him with 85% crit rate, and he would go up to 100%. He has a free hitter on his A1, which is not bad. I also used him in a stun set and works pretty well, but nothing too crazy. I would still prefer Warmaiden over him in terms of the decreased defense. Now, this is one of the newer rares. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but he came in pretty solid for one of the Cursed City stages, as he has this AoE attack where he places the decreased speed, and this passive, when he places decreased speed on 3 or more enemies, he gets an extra turn. He has a 50% chance of getting an extra turn, and then he has this ally attack on his A3, which is also really unique. There are not many rares that have an ally attack. It's only an ally attack with one ally, but still good. If you catch your damage dealer, you do a decent amount of damage. And he has this chance of placing a stun on his A1. Also really, really nice. A nice little control champion, and he can do some work for you. Now Abyssal is a demon spawn, which has an AoE A1, and he can place block buffs on his A1. The chance is pretty low, but still an AoE on an A1 is strong. If you build him in a stun set, he can lock some enemies down. Then he has this little heal on his A2 and increased defense and increased attack on his A3, which is quite rare because you don't have many champions that buff defense and attack at the same time. So really solid for faction wars, I would say, but nothing too crazy. Then we have Diabolist. She also is a campaign champion. I used her for my demon spawn faction wars and also for arena early on, as she has this turn meter fill and a decreased turn meter of all enemies. So if you would build her as your fastest champ, that's some nice turn meter manipulation here. And also she has an AoE attack and places increased speed on all allies. Really, really solid for arena or faction wars, or even general content early on. Later, not so much. She really gets outperformed by certain champions, but early on she's really strong, as she's also easy to book, because you can get her in the campaign and just use the dupes of her to get her skills booked. And then we have Metal Shaper. Now I used Metal Shaper at level 50 to place shields on my team. So for Scarab, I think, if I remember correctly. So he would put shields on my team and I could just, nuke the Scarab without getting counterattacked. But you have to keep in mind that back then when I did that, I didn't have any blood shield accessories, which are now quite common. Now when you're early on and you don't have any blood shield accessories, or not the right ones, you can definitely use him to get the shields up on your champions, because it's a 2-turn cooldown and you put the shield up for 2 turns, so you can basically keep the shield up forever if he's the fastest in your team. And then the last one is Kurzad, a Void Dwarf. I think I've also used him in one of my Doom Tower secret rooms, as he has this chance of placing decreased defense. And yeah, that's pretty much why I used him. Nothing too crazy. I don't think he's that good, but you know, when you have limited options, you use what you have. And yeah, it worked for me at level 50, but I wouldn't max him to level 60. So these are basically the rare champions that I used on my account. Some of them I still use to this day, some of them not, but overall these are pretty solid. I'm pretty sure there are many more that were useful to you guys. If you have any suggestions, just put them in the comments below. Let me know if you used some rares that really helped you progress. I know for a fact there are some others, but I'm not quite sure, as there are many more rares than there were before, and I'm pretty curious if you can introduce me to some new ones that are really good. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like and a comment in the section below, and see you in the next video. Peace.